What's up, everybody, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. In this video, I'm coming back at you with another spawn video. In this one, we're doing the treasure spawn. We're talking about the treasure spawn. So let's get into it. Okay, so how this treasure spawn is going to play out in overall is this is going to be an extremely pay-to-win treasure spawn. This is one of the most pay-to-win treasure spawns I've ever seen, and what's so not. And just the monster itself is not all too good. So this right here is actually not a needed monster whatsoever. I know it looks like it, and this monster is definitely an excellent monster for the Crystal Sacred Altar, because if you look at the Crystal Sacred Altar, the elemental advantage is wind, and out of it, it's a pretty good monster to use, but it's straightforward in the abilities it has, even in the wind section, can be easily manipulated by other monsters that are out there and current within Unison League. Right now, that is the only thing that's got exclusive is its blessing ability itself. So pretty much how this treasure spawn is going to work out is I'm going to talk about the monster first. Now, before I actually get into the monster completely, I just want to mention that this monster is actually a female monster. Again, they're doing the human monster concept, which is kind of contradicting, but I'm not going to complain about that. This is a pretty fun game and what's not. I'm not going to get too technical with that. I'm just saying, it's kind of funny, to be fairly honest. But yeah, actually I actually kind of like this monster, to be fairly honest, but there's no way I'm actually going to spawn for a monster just because I like it. That's not going to happen anytime soon under any circumstance, unless it's like nearly free. I'm talking like 50 gems, and 1 out of 3 monsters is probably the monster I like 50 gems. 70 maximum. Other than that, I probably won't ever. But anyways, moving on from there, we got Bandit's Bow. If you look at the ability, it does good damage. It does good damage, and it pretty much has basic ability buffs, attack and magic attack buff, ability power buff. It has a Unison Field Gauge buff, which, to be fairly honest, is not even worth it, to be fairly honest. If you have Unison Gauge gains, that buff works better than this Unison Gauge Field buff that it has right here. And it also has Blessing. Blessing is really only the unique thing about this monster whatsoever. I've done Crystal Sacred Altar a couple times. Honestly, using Aerial is a better choice. If you got Aerial, you're pretty much set. You don't need to spawn this monster whatsoever under any circumstance. And even then, like, you got monsters that already have stuff that increase cost recovery speed and reduces cooldown times. And that's pretty much all Blessing's really going to be useful for, is the cost it gives and also the cost recovery speed it also gives, and what's so not. Other than that, you literally, you're going to see people of Cleopatra. Cleopatra already has ability power buffs. You're going to be playing with at least one Archer. Archer's Ether Exchange gives an ability power buff to everybody. The Lancers increases the ability power buff taken to the enemy. What else we got here? The attack and magic attack is pretty dang common. At least when you're playing with a couple of the late endgame people have stuff like Urza and what's so not. Really, the most unique monster in there, which they should have brought back, honestly, you would have had so much probably money. There's people who probably still want to spawn for Aerial, and if you were to bring it back, you probably have a lot more money. At least if you made it for like at least 2 weeks, you would get a lot more money for the spawn. But it's the Aerial Archangel. Aerial Archangel is literally going to be the most exclusive and probably the best monster to play with out of the whole monsters that you can play with in the game. And I'm not going to say that just single-handedly. I'm saying that because it's going to be the hardest to find, and that elemental buff and the field buff it has, pretty dang powerful stuff, like really powerful stuff right there. So if you can manage to get you a cost recovery speed monster, an ability cooldown time monster, and pretty much there's like all types of monsters out there that pretty much does what this monster does, except for the Blessing. And even then, Blessing only works with cost and cooldown times, and I managed to play with people that actually have that working out for the whole team. So honestly, this monster is not all too worth it. This is a good monster single-handedly, like it's a multitasker for the Crystal Sacred Altar, but it's not too difficult to get the buffs that this monster has. Literally, all the other there's a bunch of other monsters out there that can pretty much buff give the same buffs this monster does. All you gotta do is combine them, to be very honest. Like maybe 1, 2, 3 monsters combination, and you're pretty much good. You're getting what this monster has and what's so not, and you're set. You're good. That's pretty much all it takes. This monster is again good out of it, but it's even more. It's less useful out of it because these buffs are so common, and the Usagaj gain buff is a better buff. So they even have more. It's easier to combo. It's easier to manipulate what this monster already does in the first place, except for blessing. Blessing is the only thing unique to this monster. But even then, like the Fire Archangel, is better out of this than this monster because it has an attack and magic attack buff limit on top of its blessing, and it does more damage. And then, like in the event, the Wind Archangel is a lot better of a choice. So like the Archangels are destroying this monster even as a 36 cost with blessing. And what's so not, and even out of there, like again, you can manipulate all these other buffs that it has besides blessing because it's not very they're pretty common buffs. They really are. So definitely this monster is nothing super unique. You don't exactly need it. It might help get you there quicker to like the top 100 score, but that's literally all this monster is going to be good for, is helping you a little bit quicker get to the top 100 score. It's extra utility. That's pretty much what it is. You could get to the top 100 score without this monster, but it might help you a little because it's extra utility just in case you need to be more flexible with the team and the strategy you have. That's literally all it's for. And for the price it costs, it's not even worth it whatsoever. Literally whatsoever. Let's actually talk about the treasure spawn and how it works to show you the price. Okay, so they don't have any rates up. If they have rates up, even then you're probably not going to get the monster. At least with rates up, they have an opportunity. They have a chance for you to get it. It's still pretty dang low, and most people won't be able to get it throughout the gear spawn, even with rates up. But yeah, the monster is nearly non-existent with like rates whatsoever within the gear spawn. So when you're spawning in the gear spawn, it's literally dang near impossible. It's pretty much mythical rates. It's like they say it's in here, but it's actually not because the rates are so low for the monster. It is literally ridiculous. At least when you're spawning, you're able to get 50 to 200 medals. They have the regular SSR rates, by the way, so there's nothing really special about it. Okay, so the next thing is, if you're not getting the summoning scroll through the jackpot, if you're not getting the monster through the gear spawn, we have the medals. So they don't offer a lot of medals here either. Usually within regular treasure spawns, treasure spawns, they offer 401 side chests and 201 side chests. Not for this one. For this one, they offer 700 to 1,000. 700 is usually the regular amount for a regular treasure spawn within the jackpot, but they offer literally no medals within side chests. So even obtaining the medals is it's more difficult than it usually is. It's not as easy to obtain the medals as it usually is. It's a lot more expensive for this one, medal-wise, than it is in other treasure spawns. So I dang well know if you're spawning for this, which I don't really recommend even for you like extremely pay to wins out there, like unless you need more utility. That's all this monster is good for, is extra utility. You can literally, if you got Aerial Archangel, you got an Urza, you got an Ayaz or a Jupiter, and you got a Cleopatra. You don't even need a Cleopatra. You can just have an Archer on your team and you're pretty much set. You don't even need a Cleopatra. You don't. And ability cost cooldown time monster, you're set. I've already had ability cooldown times. Now I can say, I'm not sure if Ayaz is the one that does that or not. If Ayaz is, then you're pretty much set. Just Ayaz, Jupiter, or what was the other monster? I was thinking of another one with cost recovery, Ariel, Urza, and you're pretty much set. You're good to go. Like, you're good to go. Extra utility is all you need. So definitely not worth it. So much more expensive. Like so much more expensive for the medals, and it's just not worth it. And like for the medals and how expensive it is, you think they would nerf the treasure medal, how much treasure medals it takes to get the scroll within here? They don't. It's still the same cost, so definitely not worth it. They do offer the weapons in here though, but like the treasure medals they offer within the spawn, not fair whatsoever. And yes, these do offer extra elemental attack, but as you can see, they're only 27 costs. 27 plus 5 equals 32. When you take it from SSR to UR, it's going to go up by 5 costs. 27 plus 5 is 32 once more. That's pretty much how it's going to go down. It's going to be a 32 cost weapon. And you already know, out of this event, if you're just doing it for actual straight up attack, like if there's no elementals involved, they already have 2 sets of 35 cost weapons that have the same ability, and they're just way more stronger than this. So honestly, out of the Mobius, and I'm assuming the Mobius is going to have when that is, because if you pay attention to the last Mobius and Crystal Sacred Altar, they had the same elemental advantage. But out of those two, the Crystal Sacred Altar and the Mobius, these weapons are not going to help whatsoever. So this spawn is literally almost useless. I'm kind of thankful and happy for that, to be fairly honest, because this actually gives us a break. As you see, they come out with a ridiculous amount of spawns, and them cutting down on spawns like that and making a crappy spawn is very good. But yeah, it's a crappy spawn, so I'd stay away from it if I were you. Free to play or pay to win. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for watching, and I hope this helped out. This is the AzureWrath, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm out. Peace.